Hey guys, so to quickly get out of the way, I'm no longer going to be uploading videos about PoE 2 to my channel. I might do that in the future, kind of depends on if the game changes a lot. But if you do want to play the style of build that I was playing here, it's like this infusion abuse idea that I talked about before league start. I will include a Reddit thread to someone else who came up with pretty much the same exact idea, just separately. And they seem to be enjoying the game, so they're much further along in the progression. They also have, I think, a written guide for the progression on this and just like various notes. They also have some notes about things I tested, which is like hit count and stuff and how the build actually functions. So that would be a pretty good resource. I'll include that in the link below. Um, but yeah, if you do not want to watch somebody that's probably way too emotionally invested in a video game, kind of air their grievances and talk about things that they don't like about the game and uh, why I'm no longer going to play it, this is probably not the video for you. So I would say you could probably just skip it. Anybody who wants to hear my thoughts, I guess you can stick around. They are, just with a big warning, going to be very, very negative. I recorded this out of order, but I'm shoving it to the front because this is by far the biggest reason why I think PoE 2 is not designed for someone like me. Like, I'm not the target audience, which is, fine. The game can kind of just progress without me, I guess. But yeah, it just kind of stinks. So PoE 1 is this incredible sandbox where the devs create these really interesting, like, uniques, support gems, skill gems, just mechanics, affixes, like skill trees, and just kind of throw them out there and just see what sticks. Like, let the chips lie where they lie. The players will discover weird, emergent, like, combinations of things and come up with some truly wacky and, like, big brain shit, right? I still kind of geek out just thinking about all the cool builds that exist in PoE 1 that people just have yet to discover that might have been out there for a really long time. PoE 2 is not like that at all. PoE 2, I don't know how to describe it other than, like, it feels like the devs created archetypes that you were supposed to follow, and if you stray from them, they will remove those interactions or declare them as bugs. Like, it just feels like the devs are the ones creating the build guides, and the players have to now follow them. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but I think something like the most symbolic version of that is, like, if you look at Lightning Rod and Tempest Bell really needed to be nerfed, and they did, which is awesome. But the way that they nerfed Lightning Rod, instead of hurting the damage or like the amount of times you can chain to it, they did that too, but what they did is they made it so there is a 1 second delay to anything chaining to this that is not the dev's intended usage of the skill. If you do not use Lightning Arrow, there is a delay to the skill. If you use the the dev version of this build, like Lightning Arrow, there's no delay. And why is that? Because, well, when they designed the skill, what they wanted you to do was they wanted you to clear with Lightning Arrow. Then when you ran to a unique or rare that you couldn't kill, they would then ask you to, like, they would expect you to put your lightning rods down and then chain to them with your lightning arrow, because that's the lightning arrow build, right? You guys fucked up. I don't know how you guys didn't realize this. You weren't supposed to use ball lightning, arc, and hell, you can use skeletal mages. It doesn't matter now, right? Because it's like that's not the dev's intended use of the skill. You're supposed to play the correct way. Please follow the build guide. They have all the details explained. But how many times last league did it feel like some weird combinations of things would come out that would just get removed or declared a bug because it was not the dev's intended usage? Like, yeah, you could say Vine Arrow plus, like, Mace Strike and all the other weird Vine interactions were, quote unquote bugs, but that's just because the devs didn't intend you to use Vine Arrow in that way. It was supposed to be like a single target poison thing. Please use it correctly. Like, yeah, Mace Strike Vine Arrow was a little fucked up, but you were supposed to just use Hammer the Gods, you guys. That's, like, kind of obvious, right? Like, the devs intended to use the Hammer Gods. If you would just use the build guide, we wouldn't run into this problem. Like, I can think of just so many examples of this that it's kind of like, it's just so disheartening to me. Like the Herald skills, right? Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice require a martial weapon because they have attack damage and they scale through weapon, which is actually a really cool design, I think. But Herald of Plague and Herald of Ash did not because, well, they're not attacks, right? They're just, like, have effects that happen. Well, they changed them because you were supposed to use this with your attack builds. It was incorrect for you to use these with your, like, spell poison builds. And then I actually haven't checked this. I just assume Herald of Ash got changed, and Herald of Blood. I assume Herald of Blood is as well, right? Herald of Blood. Let's see. Martial weapon. Why does it require martial weapon? I don't know. I'd assume it's not an attack. Maybe it is, but Herald of Ash I know is not an attack. It's just like an ignite that happens from the overkill. Yep, requires a martial weapon. Why does it do that? Well, because the devs intended you to use this on, like, your, like, big slam builds, right? You're not supposed to use this on your spell builds, or not, please follow the build guide. Now, just, like, more skills that just like, or let's look at Tornado, because Tornado is the one that, like, I saw and I was really excited for at first, and then I read it, I was like, oh, it's not how the devs want you to use it. They opened it up a little bit more. You can use spear threads with it now, but this skill is just Tornado from PoE 1. The way Tornado works in PoE 1 is it creates a tornado that you can apply you can hit with your projectiles, which will record some of the hit damage, and then it'll release a damaging component later based on how much hit damage you with it. You can use it. You can use any projectile with it. There's no restrictions. You can chain from it. You can fork from it. You can do weird stuff with it. You can create AoE explosions from it. Hell, it's like doubles the damage of lightning arrow in that game if you use it properly. A bunch of other weird stuff like that. Same with Ellie Hit and all that shit. Tornado shot over here. Actually, I think much cooler design, honestly. But the devs intend for you to use this with crossbow shot, bow skills, and now thrown spears. Why can't you not use it with spells? Well, because that's not what the devs intend. You please. Now, I can look at skills that literally exist in this game that are just ported over. I mean, there's so many things that are just ported directly from PoE 1, but if we look at Sigil of Power as oh man, it's cool. Because I view Sigil of Power on big mana attack builds all the time. Because it's this, it's easy to mana leech for the attack, so it's it's this kind of cool component where you ramp the mana spend on your skills, and then you get to get paid off with your. It's one of the big things about doing a big mana attack build, Sigil of Power in PoE 1. How does it work over here? Well, the devs intend for you to use this on the big mana spell archetype. So what does it say? It says buff grants more spell damage per stage after spending 50% of your max mana while in the area. Well, why is it just spells? Well, because that's how the devs want you to use it. Please follow the build guide. Now, if I go look at, God, I was gonna say because I originally before I knew Sigil Power was actually in the game, I assumed Mana Tempest was the version. I thought the same thing. I was oh, sick! You can use this as attack. No. This is only for spells. You must use this with spells. It's just why? Why does it say that? Why is it only spells? It would be more interesting if you could use it in other archetypes, but that's not the intended use case of it. I mean, even do you guys think genuinely think if Roa was in PoE 1 that you could only do the dev intended version of it? You're supposed to use bows, thrown spears, and why can you cast mark skills on this Roa and you can't cast normal spells? Why can you only cast mark skills? There would still be the downside if you're casting spells or using crossbows, because the devs did not intend for you to do that. You can cast marks because it goes in the spear throw and bow archetype. Why? Because you're supposed to use sniper's mark. Because you need it to generate frenzy charges. So they had to make this exception because this is what the archetype is, right? Why does Wind Dancer require a weapon? You could argue, well, because it has this attack component. Does it need to have this attack component? It can, and I think it's kind of an interesting part of it. But why do you need a martial weapon for this? Why can't the attack just not trigger? That's already a huge downside. I'm playing this on a spell build. I know I'm only talking about the spell ones, but it's I mean, it's just this game is so segregated in that you will use the spells they intend you to use and you will use the attacks they intend you to use. You will not overlap. Despite the weapon swap system, that's actually kind of a bit of a bait. It's literally you are supposed to use what the devs intend. You know what game wouldn't do that? This game. But because it's based off PoE 1 and not PoE 2, because this is an Exile where PoE 2 is a Diablo Now I can look at a bunch of uniques to just go further hammer home my point. I was really excited that they added Wrathpith. Wrathpith's kind of a fucked up item. Oh, did they name it something different in this? I think they might. Maybe they. Oh no, it's not. Sorry. It's on the armor page. Wrathpith. I was oh cool, because I was using this a lot with attack builds. Just in various PoBs. I've not played with it a ton this way, but it's really cool because you can scale your life and then it's you use a Crown of Eyes to convert that spell damage to attack damage. So you can use it on attack builds. I read this and I went, okay. Non-channeling spells cost an additional 6% of your axe life. I'm oh man, it doesn't even increase the cost of your attacks. That's badass. And then I read this. Non-channeling spells have 5% increased critical chance for axe life. That's fine. That's what it does in PoE 1. Non-channeled spells deal 10% increased damage. This isn't spell damage. Do you know why it's not spell damage? Because they intend for you to use this with spells. If you could convert your spell damage to attack damage, you could consider using this. That's not what the devs want you to use Wrathpith for. The devs want you to use this on your spell builds. Please follow build guide. Now, I could think of it's just most uniques are designed in this way. They either ported them over and made them extremely restrictive, or it's actually kind of crazy. Duedri's tenure actually lets you do this. Yeah, I was actually kind of shocked that this was worded this way, because it's you could play this on attack builds. You guys are that downside. It's kind of surprising because it's supposed to be they might change this one to word it like Wrathpith if that gets too popular, because I assume that's not the intended use of that. So they will change it until you use it correctly. But it's just the item design in this game just feels so boring and so much more restrictive. I think this might be my least favorite item they've ever made. So this kind of leads into my next point about like the affix pool in this game being like really, really boring. But like this shit is so lazy. Like you will use this on every single spell build that scales with gem levels, which is 99.9% of them. Like Detonate Dead's like maybe one of the that actually scales with gem levels now too, but probably not strong enough to justify it. But it's just like every build will use this. Why is that good design? That's just so fucking boring. It's just like, why would you just create a mandatory unique that every build would use? Gem levels are already a huge problem, like design space in this game. Like let's go look at like if gem level scaling in this game is so suffocating because it is the only mod that truly matters. Like if I go look at a wand, if it does not have plus X level to the thing that I actually am playing, like if I'm playing like a cold build, if it doesn't have this, I shouldn't even look at the wand, because the other mods combined, like if I have 4 perfect mod like wand that does not have plus gem levels, it is probably not as good as one that just has this, because gem level scaling is through the fucking roof in this game. Like if you look at sorry, I'm trying not to seethe or whatever, but but if I like go look at amulets, why can you get +3? Why can you get +3 to like your fucking spells, to like your projectile spells? This one like also would work in concoctions. They removed concoctions from this patch, but like if they didn't, imagine, you know. But it's like, so this is the only thing that matters. All the other shit is just like kind of nice to have. So what like this kind of also leads into is like, I think it's like, I don't know if there's a disconnect with the item design. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. I was pretty excited about Fire Spell and Hit before the patch went live, because the wording on Mjolnir specifically called out melee spells trigger, or melee skills trigger lightning spell and hit. Blacksmith and Kitava did not have that wording, so I assumed it worked with attacks. Hell, maybe even worked with spells. The night before the patch went out in PoEDB, we saw that it was actually also the exact same. It was just melee skills. And why is that bad? Well, it's fucking useless now, because let's go look at all the useful mods on one-handed maces for a spell build. These are all local. These don't matter. Strength? Okay. Reduce attribute requirement makes it easier to wield, maybe. Ooh, we found one that's useful. Ah, but you see this attack tag here, huh? Well, the devs intend for you to use your martial weapon for your attack build, right? So if you can't have this work for spells, that wouldn't make any sense. You're throwing away all other 5 mods, but let's just to make it really crystal clear to the player base that you guys really need to follow the plan that the devs laid out for you. This doesn't work for spells. Maybe the rune does? Maybe the rune does? Actually, unfortunately, I tested that. It does not. So you can do this. You can get plus 15 spirit. Can you play a spell build that deals damage by throwing away your entire weapon? No fucking shot. This has no reason to exist. I guess the intended use of this is, and again, you really need to follow the build guide, is you're supposed to trigger like Flame Wall for something like your melee skill that triggers that new Molten Strike support skill, maybe? Maybe that's the, or maybe you're supposed to just trigger Flammability. The devs showcased Firestorm and they're like, you know, when they showed Blacksmith and Kitava, which made me think that maybe you could, I don't know, maybe make something out of this, but that doesn't make any fucking sense, because you can't throw away your weapon and trigger Firestorm and have it deal damage. So I don't know why they showed that. It's just kind of bait, really, if anything. That would never make sense. That won't deal damage. That you won't see anybody do that. If they do, they will abandon the character, because believe it or not, you need to deal damage to kill mobs. I did just think of one thing. I actually forgot about spears, because I was going to mention this. Technically, this has a single useful affix you could do on something very specific. On if you're triggering a fire projectile spell, which I know is extremely specific. I think it's literally, is it literally just fireball? Okay, so maybe you can use fire spell and hit to trigger specifically fireball. Now, that skill doesn't deal enough damage. Oh, maybe Fusillade, because that skill kind of deals enough damage, maybe. I don't know, it's tough. Those skills aren't super high damage, but can you have all dead mods and just this? Maybe. I don't know. It's probably not something I would recommend. It's probably bad, but there is 2 skills that you could maybe consider using on this. So I don't know, guys. I'm trying not to be toxic, but it's just like every decision on everything that was designed was intentionally made in a way for you to follow the vision of the devs. And it's just like they designed something like this without even thinking about how this could possibly make sense in the video game. it's just like for all of the detail and like to make like the archetypes so railroaded, but then to like make shit like this without even thinking about how it's actually going to be used is just like, why? Why do you do this? Now, in this defense, I guess maybe with Templar we'll get Battle Mage support, which lets you use like the local mods on like your melee weapon to like your spells. But that's probably not going to happen because you're not allowed to have flat added to spells in this game. Besides Flame Wall for some reason, because there's no effectiveness of added damage, because that could be interesting and lead to like interesting options. But it's like, man, if this shit existed in PoE 1, and not even I don't even know if it'd be good, but like let's look at it like a PoE 1 mace that I just made. Just like thinking about this. So I would use an essence of, I actually forget what the essence is called that gives you fire. I think it's Anguish. No, that's a crit one. Anyways, Torment, I think. But anyways, you would essence spam this mace, and when I know you guys probably don't know what spam means, but like in PoE 1, you don't have to throw away the base every time you craft on it. Like in PoE 1, like you or PoE 2, you'd use an essence, it'd be bad, and then you just put it back on the ground. In PoE 1, what you do is you just keep using the same base over and over again. So like I would get one mace, and then I would use this essence to add fire damage to spells on it until I hit crit multi. Probably let's like maybe settle on like tier 2 crit multi. We're multi-modding. We'll only stop here, right? We hit this, and then we would can have up to 3 crafted mods. This game also has what's known as a crafting bench, so you can choose mods to add to the item. So it's not. I know RNG is put on a pedestal in PoE 2, but in PoE 1 it is not. It is just less, right? It's not everything needs to be RNG. Like I'm surprised that you actually get skill points guaranteed in PoE 2, to be honest. I would assume that should be like a dice roll or something. But then I would do multi-mod, and then I would do spell damage, and then chance to deal double damage. I mean, you could do other stuff, like maybe you do like cast speed. Maybe you do, that wouldn't really make sense on trigger build, huh? But you could do maybe hits can't be evaded, so that you don't have to scale accuracy on your trigger build. There's a lot of useful mods you could add, right? But that's because this game's designed like a sandbox. It's not designed with the devs' vision. It's a sandbox. But yeah, maybe when Battle Mage comes, but I don't think it will, because it wouldn't make sense in design of PoE 1, because it could open up a lot of builds, and there's no added damage in this game for spells, because that's not. I think Jonathan said it was lame or something. I don't know. It's lame to have like the decisions or whatever. So this is going to be broken out into sections. First, I want to start with mapping, because this is the map from the boss showcase I started the video with, and I think it exemplifies a lot of my problems with the game currently. As you see, I'm a life ES hybrid character, pretty evenly split down the middle, and I alked the map. I got Burning Ground, and you're thinking, man, that's super annoying. Do you really want to run that on an ES character? Because you're going to be at like half life most of the map, because your ES is going to be down from all the degens and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's technically true, but you can't really re-roll maps in this game. I mean, you can't really re-roll anything in this game. And I already wasted a scarce resource like an alchemy, so I want to run the map, because if I alked it and I saw something like minus 15 res, 25 LE pen, or something like, Jesus Christ, like temporal chains, I would just have to immediately vendor the map. So I kind of just run these ones that are miserable, but because it's like you could technically reroll it with like Chaos Orbs, but it's like that's an even scarcer resource than alchemy, so you're not doing that. And since Chaos Orbs only hit one mod at a time in this game, that's like not really a realistic solution. So you just sell like shitty maps, right? Which is a design decision. But you can't even 3-to-1 because eventually you're going to get into just T15 maps. You don't need to run T14s. Like maps stay in this game is really good, which is not a bad thing, but you can't 3-to-1 T15s to get a new map. So like when you just hit a bad mod, you just like I can't tell you how many times I transmute a map, see temporal chains, and then just immediately vendor it. Cause it's like what am I supposed to do with that map? I'm never going to run this. Maybe I make a character that has like curse immunity later, like slow effectiveness, like reduced or something. But anyways, they could eventually add a way that you could combine 3 T15s into another T15, because you can't do it unless the map's able to go up a tier. Like T14s to a 15, you can use the refrigerator, whatever you want to call it, with like that slow ass animation that they got rid of vendor recipes for. But you could do that. But the problem is that doesn't work with T15s, because they can go up a tier. And do you really want to just keep adding band-aids upon band-aids upon band-aids to address the fact that we can't scour things anymore, or like actually like re-roll the mods on an item? I assume yes, because in this game, RNG and ground loot is put on a pedestal. But so let's keep going to the map. As you can see, like the burning grounds everywhere. Not every map's going to be like this, but a lot of the mobs just leave this like blood pool when they die that degens you really hard. I think it's Fizz based on the skull icon you see when you stand on it, like right there. This mob has periodically unleashes lightning, which adds more ground effects. So right here, there is bloody ground, burning ground, and then just like lightning explosions. Now, you're thinking, should I just like ran through here? Because like if this mob stuns me here, I'm just going to die because I'm going to be standing all these ground effects. But I'm very confident my damage is high enough I'm going to be able to kill them. But yeah, if I got stunned, I would just die, which is I think the intended experience. Or if you're like a dot build, you just kill them and then have to back off, because if you can't roll past them, you'll just die because you'll get hit by all this stuff. But I knew my damage was good enough, so I run through it. And that's kind of all this. And like in this case, you can't really back off because there's DD effects happening behind me for some reason. I think this unique, or not. Let's see if I can see which one has it. Impossible. I didn't kill that mob immediately because it had that really fun mod called proximal tangibility, which means that if you're not, you can't damage it unless you're like really close to it. But all of this stuff, as you can see, like all the like bullshit in the hallway, all the ground effects, all the explosions. Not every map is exactly this bad, but this layout's actually not that bad compared to a lot of other layouts. But the idea in the design of maps in PoE 2, and it's like, I know everybody's like complaining about maps endlessly already, but like, is you're supposed to have choke points with a bunch of things that stack up in the hallways to just kill you and stun you so that you just die. Which again, I mean, does make the combat really difficult. I mean, not even difficult's not the word. It makes it really, really tedious because like the play pattern is kill stuff in a hallway, either wait for the ground effects to finish so you can run through it, or just run through it and just like have to mash your life flask, so that when you actually need your life flask from a mob actually hitting you, it means that it's down and you die, which is, you know, fun or whatever. But I will say, I love difficult games. Like Souls-like is probably my literal second favorite genre of video games past ARPGs. But it's just like, goddamn, this game is just not challenging. It's just so annoying. Like, you know how in there you always reach like a swamp or like some caustic area in a Souls-like because Miyazaki or whatever, just like Miyazaki or I can't remember, but always just like loves that aesthetic, I guess, or like loves having poison swamps in his game, and they're just like really annoying because it's like usually generally to me like one of the worst parts of the game, because it's like you don't really die to the mobs, you just die to the area over time because you get lost and then you just like kind of burn out essentially. That's what most maps feel like to me in PoE 2. It's just like you don't really die to like the mobs that frequently. I mean, a lot of times you get stun locked and die. That's usually how you die. But like you kind of just get whittled away so that your like life total's low, so that something that wouldn't normally kill you does kill you because your life total's low from all of like the like degens you've been having. Like right fucking here. It's like, why is every mob create some kind of ground effect or some AoE that you just have to play like, I don't know, just like this like fucking dancing game where you just dodge everything. It's just like this game has no fucking chill. It's just constantly clenching your butthole and just seeing if you just hoping that you'll just live. And it's not like you feel like you're getting, I don't know, it doesn't feel meaningful to me. Like I get in the campaign, like the map bosses, the combat in that is like generally pretty awesome outside of the one shots, but it's like GG loves pulling that lever. But it's like, how could this possibly be meaningful? It's just killing stuff and just backing off and just kind of hoping that the stars don't align where enough explosion effects happen on my face, or I'm standing on something that's going to kill me and then I get stunned on that thing where the explosions do stack up. Like right here. Thankfully, you know, I used my eyes, I saw this, and then I'm just like, well, I could try to run through this, but if I do happen to get stunned by all these mobs waiting over here, because they're going to gangbang me in a second, I will die because I'll get hit by like 40 of these things, right? I could probably live through it, but I just decided to play it safe and just wait here. And yeah, technically that was meaningful. I made a choice here to just like not engage, but it's just like, it wasn't fun. This is just not fun to me. I mean, and again, it's like, I'm sure a lot of you guys like love this shit, right? Like just like the misery that this is, but like, why is it everything in this game just causes waiting? Like I kill a boss, I have to wait 20 seconds for the lore to finish, like on each act. But it's like, let's go to the, like when I actually kill the boss here, because it's just like everything in this game just causes so much waiting. Okay, killed the boss. Now in PoE 1, the loot would immediately splurt out of them. Like even in Ubers, like the loot just explodes out of them. Thankfully, I'm frozen, so I have to wait a second anyway. Okay, waiting. It takes 5 fucking seconds, and the loot still hasn't dropped yet. And, I mean, I think what's really funny, just to like hammer home like another problem, but it's like, you know, I don't want to make the video about how bad the loot is in this game. Oh, I can't even pause it properly, Jesus. But as you can see, he dropped a blue shield, a a rare helmet, and 260 gold. This is a level 81 area. This is a citadel. This is what this boss dropped. I slogged through all this bullshit to get that. Now, eventually I get to fight Arbiter. And, you know, like once I get all my things, I'm not going to get that far, obviously, because I dropped the league like 5 days in. I've tried to play a little again, and I just get too frustrated. So, but the point is, it's just like mapping can't feel this way. I mean, you know, again, it's like I know I'm not the target audience, but it's like, to me, mapping cannot feel constantly annoying like this because, like, yeah, I could if we could maybe if we could use horizon orbs, we don't have to run like layouts like this. Maybe that would solve some of it, but it's like, dude, like 90% of the maps are bad. So it's like, I mean, if they're gonna make, they would make horizon orbs like as rare as alchemies. Like I got to use one like what every like hour or something. It's just like, come the fuck on. It's like that's not gonna solve the problem. It will eventually when you're rich, which is like a lot of the problems that are here. Like eventually when I'm like rich and I have like insane ES gear, none of this shit's gonna matter because I'm not gonna be in threat of dying anyway. But it's just like there are so many points of progression before that that just make the game feel so frustrating to play. Like if mapping isn't baseline fun, like what the fuck is the point of the game? It's like, yeah, I get that like loot's like really bad too, but I do eventually assume that GGG will like peel back that. I know they love the idea of scarcity because of like ruthless or whatever, but like, but eventually I do think GG will address like the like it feeling like you don't really drop loot, but I just don't know, and it's just like obviously like going back to this like normally it's not that bad. Like that was a perfect scenario where the rares weren't that bad. Like he was by a waypoint, thank fucking god, so I was able to teleport to him. I know now that you can see all the rares, that does help a lot, but it's just like it's still not a super fun system. It's why can't we just kill a map boss? I don't know. I don't want to turn this video into just like all of the things that are different about this game versus PoE 1, but it's just like at every turn, it just feels like the devs don't ask enough, is this going to be fun? Next, I want to talk about the skill gem system and the problems that I think it causes. I think a lot of people probably don't consider this an issue or didn't, but before the game launched, I was super concerned that if everybody could have 6 links on like all their skills, and especially with things like weapon swapping to like another 6 link or whatever, builds would kind of just merge into the same thing, and we would lose a lot of build identity that we have in PoE 1, which I mean has definitely come true, but even more so than that, I was really concerned that there would be very little incentive to not just always play the best clear speed skill, because if the best clear speed skill can use another 6 link to actually have good single target damage, or hell, even weapon swap to one, there'd just be very little downside. Like in PoE 1, if you want to play Corrupting Fever or like Spark or something, it's just like you're gonna have great clear speed early, but like goddamn, you're gonna really struggle to kill like tough rares or like difficult like bosses, especially things like pinnacles. And if you're gonna play something like Bolt and Strike, like yeah, you're gonna pretty much always have like great single target, but like have fun clearing maps with that, you know what I mean? Which is like, I think that's a good thing. It's just like builds have identity. Like this build has like good clear, but bad single target. Skill is great single target, bad clear. Sometimes there are skills that are like more in the middle. Where something that's like lightning arrow, like yeah, you're gonna also have pretty good clear, but your single target's not gonna be incredible, but it can be helped a ton because bow builds are much closer to PoE 2 builds in that they get 2 6 links. So like you can use like a ballista for single target, a big mana forge setup with like something like Storm Rain, but they kind of get to solve that problem more than something like Spark or Corrupting Fury do, because again they're closer to a PoE 2 system. Now let's talk about like the best clear speed skill in PoE 2. Very clearly Lightning Spear so far, unless something else comes out, which I would be very shocked because this skill like hits the screen reliably and ridiculously. But if this was a PoE 1 build, these builds would have a really big issue in that if you look at the damage on Lightning Spear, it's not very high. It's, I mean, like very good mechanics for clearing, but 340 effectiveness at this attack rate is actually not that much. Like you would really struggle to do single target with just Lightning Spear, before great gear, obviously, right? So this number of people that would be playing Lightning Spear in PoE 1 would not be this ridiculous amount. I know this is like a new skill, new ascendancy, like people want to play Amazon with it, 'cause it's like reminiscent of D2 and all that stuff. But this number would not be ridiculously high like it is in PoE 2 because you would have an issue. So what do these guys do? Well, a ton of them are just using Stormlance, because if we go look at Stormlance, it's like 180 hit here. Explosion is like 400. And then this, if it's Frenzy Charge, it's going to pulse and deal 90% every 0.2 seconds for 1.5 seconds. This skill is close to 1,000 effectiveness, significantly higher than Lightning Spear. So if you just use this skill on your Lightning Spear build, all of a sudden you have the best clear spell build in the game. And then you have really good single target. I know people are also using things like whatever the frenzy serpent skill is that people are using on like Deadeye and stuff to get single target as well. But functionally, it's the same thing. They're just playing Lightning Spear builds, and they're just like alternating what single target skill they use. Because again, there's no real downside. Now, if for whatever reason GG had made all of the spear skills that are not Lightning Spear just fucking terrible, I think this would still be a problem, because they could just weapon swap to like the next best single target thing. Now that might be more narrow, especially after the nerf to things like Tempest Spell and Lightning Rod. But like hell, if they just weapon swap to something like Lightning Rod plus Lightning Arrow, because Lightning Arrow is the approved GGG skill for Lightning Rod, that's why it works with that one. I think you would have pretty decent single target. Maybe you could use Snipe. I'm not sure. There's a lot of options you could use. It might be a little bit trickier to get off, but it would definitely hurt the numbers if you had weapon swap, because that's more clunky. But yeah. It's kind of just like not really a solvable problem with the game the way it is. I don't know how they back themselves out of that corner. Maybe we just need to get more skills that are maybe not like Lightning Spear, but if the game was balanced, we have way more skills. Maybe there'd be more archetypes that are like this. They would all be pretty similar, and we would never have the diversity that we had in PoE 1. But it would help. It would help a lot, I think. And then I just kind of want to move on to like the support gem system, and it's really weird because I think a lot of the supports are really cool, but a lot of them, they don't want to make just skills that give like more damage, right? Like if we look at like Brutality, right? Brutality is more damage with the downside, which it's kind of funny because it's like all things have a downside in PoE 2, but like this one always did. So support skills deal 20% more fizz damage, or like something like Primal Armament, which is just weapon elemental damage in PoE 1, 25% more weapon elemental damage. So these are straight multipliers. You can't have all of them because that would be, I guess, boring. But because you can't repeat the support gems, they had to make a ton of weird ones because they don't want to just give you more multipliers. So they got to get real weird with it. Like Blood in the Eyes. Hobble equal to 15% of physical damage hit by skills against bleeding enemies. This support is fucking nuts, by the way, because Hobble's broken with Amazon. Just gives you 12.5 base crit if you hobble something. But anyways, and then there's also things like Blindside. Like supported skills have 15% more critical damage bonus with hits against blind enemies, more critical hit against blind enemies. You have just like weird shit like that, where it's just like you have to meet this condition to essentially just turn this into a more multiplier. So like, why does it have to be annoying like this? Why can't it just be the effect? Why do we have to like check all these boxes? It just like, and I get it's because you can't repeat skills, but why is that a bad thing? Why is repeating like, it's like, well, people just use all the best supports then again. It's like yeah, that's like kind of true, but it's like, so now we do that anyway. We just have to use these weird conditionals. Like on my build, I have to get Lacerate into my setup so I can actually use Blood in the Eyes, and just like weird shit like that. I have to get Blind in there, and like all this other stuff that just like makes it really tedious to build a character and like really constraining. But I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm kind of more okay with this part of the game. But it's just like we keep running into all these weird problems because everybody can have like a billion links on everything. Like Withering Touch just has to get gutted because I Winter Unleash Withering Touch that like you can very like Spell Echo, like Slower Project, whatever you can fit into your build, just made it so easy to just get 15, or like with Unleash, you just make it so easy to just get max Wither stacks in every build. So now you essentially can't use this with I Winter unless you're somehow scaling that damage really hard. It's like, I mean, this is the same thing that they had to do with all the trigger stuff, where it's like now it's based on, did it deal enough hit damage to like whether it applies the effect or not, which makes everything feel really inconsistent, like how Ignite works, right? Like you have to hit hard enough to Ignite, and like now you have to hit hard enough to trigger your cast on crit. You have to hit hard enough to trigger your cast on shock, because all this shit's free. You just got to throw it all in all your builds. It's like, I mean, obviously the spirit reservations for the meta gems aside, but it's just like we've created, not we've, I mean like GG has created this problem, like where I don't really know what the payoff is, that we just can't reuse the same support gems, and we have all these 6 links. It's like they have to be difficult to get because we can have so many 6 links, I guess. But like, I just don't know. I don't know what the huge gain is here, I guess. I'm not sure how they fix this one, honestly. This last one's just about gems and leveling in general. I have the like kind of least conviction on this because GG will cave. You will be able to buy support gems and skill gems from vendors eventually. They've already tried this experiment in PoE 1, but PoE 2 is trying to set the world record for most relearned lessons humanly possible. So here we are. Like, let's say you're doing a fresh start, because this doesn't matter. This point doesn't matter for people that are like on their second or third playthrough, or like, you know, it's just when let's say you're doing a fresh start and you get your first uncut skill gem and you try out explosive diarrhea as your first skill. Well, the skill is not intended to be useful because it explodes after 4 seconds. So it will have gone off 3 seconds after the like cracked out mob's already killed you. Skills like this in Earthquake are supposed to be like unusable without like some kind of less duration support, which is just a weird design like tax that you put on a skill. It's like it's not a choice. You have to use that shit. The skills just don't work if you don't use that shit. So it's like, why? I don't know. Anyways, bitching aside, so you get your first support gem because Explosive Spirit obviously feels terrible initially. So you're just like, well, I need to get something to lower the duration. Well, you first first you use fast forward. That doesn't actually. I've heard because it's like I think that's also with grenades as well. This doesn't actually work. So you wasted your first support gem. You're like, dang it. Okay. Well, next support gem, you finally get one. You get Expedite. And you're just like, okay, this will finally lower the duration. The skill will feel usable. It doesn't because the skill still sucks. But you're like, maybe just one more support gem because you notice overabundance because the skill, this like dog shit skill has a limit for some reason. Okay, so I get overabundance. I can now throw 2 of them and that 50% less skill effect duration that you've now learned probably doesn't lower the duration, but because why would it? But because it's a duration skill. But so you could finally throw 2 into this mob. They both go off. The mob's health didn't move. Damn it. You're thinking, okay, I've wasted all of my support gems. I wasted my uncut gem. I now have a bricked character. I guess I can either use default attack. That's probably the correct play. But I can't use it supported because I've used 2 supports that do not work on generic other skills. It's not like you got martial tempo or something. You had to get very specific skills for your very specific diarrhea skill you chose to use. This literally happened, I think, to Rutu. It happened to my buddy. You pick the wrong skill. You pick supports that are specific to that skill and they don't overlap. What is your recourse? Well, in the current state of the game, I think the correct move here would be to start a new character. Get the Clearfell, get your uncut skill gem, get to the Clearfell camp right outside of town. I think that moved because they changed the layouts for fun reasons. But you get that, and then now you have 2 new skills, and maybe you get to the Devourer. You do maybe a few quests to get some support gems. Maybe you mule them over. I don't fucking know. But I think the correct move is to start over. Okay. Now, this next one is like related to this. It's just like a skill gem problem, I think. It takes a really fucking long time to level in this game, especially like at League Start in the O2 patch, right? Some people like took 20 plus hours to get to the campaign. I think I did too, but it was mostly just from like every few zones I'd have like zone out and just be like, God, do I want to keep doing this? And then I would come back. And anyways, it was just such a slog. But like these skill gems, like I filtered to just the ones that are like level 42 plus. Like let's say you want to get to level 42, you want to try out Stampede. You try Stampede, you run into a mob and realize it doesn't go off, and you're just like, God, I hate this fucking skill. So what do? Well, if you can't find something else you like, I mean, you just start a new character. Do you really want people to have to get that high of level? And I know that's really not that high of a level, but with how slow it is to level in this game, that's a really big commitment. What do you think those people do if they don't like that skill and they don't find something else to play? They probably just quit. I mean, is that intended? I don't know. I don't know. I'm speaking out of my ass, right? I don't fucking know. But you get all active skill gems unlocked by level 34 in PoE 1. To get to level 34 in PoE 1 is like, what, 3, 4? I don't know. I mean, you can get to level 31 in a couple hours if you're really fast. But, yeah, well, even really fast. I mean, much faster than that if you're really fast. But it like on your average player, maybe it takes 4 hours. I don't know, because they take like an 8-hour campaign or something, and it's like the first half's much slower. It's like they're taking 3 to 4 hours, and they can try all the skill gems in the game. But in PoE 2, it's like that might be like 10 hours in to get to like level 42, maybe even longer. But like, let's say it's even worse. Like you want to get to level I don't know, like, is it late 50s when you can put on a T14? I don't know. And you want to try out like Archmage so you can actually deal damage with a spell, or you try out Cast on Crit or something like that. Or you want to play like a like Detonate Dead effect, so you need Sacrifice. Why do you have to get to like level 58? That's literally through the entire fucking campaign. Could you imagine in PoE 1 if you couldn't unlock all the skill gems until like Act 10? That would be absurd. Because like, so wait, you just beat the entire campaign, figured out, oh, I don't like this skill. Well, that was a fun use of my time. It's like, why is that the intended use? Why is that the intended like game experience? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, and that game is so much faster. So it's like, it could take you 20 plus hours to find out you hate your build. Why would you want that? And then this is also like kind of exacerbated by the fact that in PoE like 2, so many of the first ascent, not so many, but a lot of times you don't know if an ascendancy is good or useful until you've gotten 4 points, because like the first 2 nodes are a lot of times attacks where it's like make your build worse, like Blood Mage, or just like kind of do nothing like Titan's extra bags, or like even like Infusion on like Amazon, where it's like not super good until you get the node behind it if you want to play an Infusion build. So it's just like you don't really know until you get your second ascendancy, which is also like Act 4, usually Act 5 if you want to be reasonable because of how overtuned the early game ascendancy stuff is. But so yeah, like you find out in Act 5 that your build sucks. It's like, why? Why? Just like, why can't these just be lower? Like the ascendancy thing is what it is. It's just how ascendancies are designed in this game. But why can't these be lower level? And it's like I assume on some level it's because like they want you to like, if you use I Winner for single target to like get critical. Well, if you used to, I mean, you probably get lowered now because it's like the skill doesn't fucking make sense anymore. But it used to be utility to give you critical weakness, which got removed for good reason. It's like I'm happy that got removed. It was fucked up. Every build would use it, and it's lame. Hell, even even builds where even poison builds. I mean, those are also crit because every build's crit in this game. But like, assuming they weren't, you would also use it for Withering Touch regardless. But that also got removed. But anyways, now that the skill doesn't have a purpose, does it really need to be tier 13? Like, does any skill really need to be that? Isn't there a way that you can balance the mana cost to make it just like absurd at low levels to like punish people for trying to use them? I guess on the not intended use archetype or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it just feels so wild that it's intended for someone to go through like 20 hours, maybe 20 plus hours to find out they hate their build. Because I don't know. I mean, do those people stick around? I can't imagine sticking around after that. I mean, unless you find something you like, but it's like, maybe you don't. I don't know. I think I hope this changes. It's just like this is way too late for you to like unlock gems. Like this game is already so cookie cutter that like you have to play like the intended like dev builds. It's like, can we please just like try the other stuff earlier too? Because it's like, I mean, it's like there's so few leveling skills because all of the skills that you unlock early are just so fucking bad. So can we just like please lower the levels of these? Like I think end of Act 2 is like pretty reasonable. That's pretty late, but I think that's pretty reasonable to unlock everything. Maybe don't show like the weird stuff like sacrifice and cast on crit to like, maybe you do like what you did in Scion in PoE 1 where like you only unlock it after you beat the game kind of shit. Like maybe you do that with the gems that are like weird, or just don't show them in the recommended. I mean, I don't think, do you guys show sacrifice in the recommended windows anyway? Stuff like that. So I don't know. I have a billion other grievances, but like I think this video is like maybe going on like an hour, so I'm just gonna shut the hell up. And I don't know, maybe I'll turn out for the .3 release. Maybe I'll just wait for 1.0. In the meantime, please, dear God, please, 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 maybe release 3.26. Please.